everybody, Deathstalker here. So I thought I'd talk about a little bit about risks versus rewards. Now, we all know what the reward is for riding a motorcycle. There's tons of enjoyment, tons of pleasure, and it's a great life experience. But there's risks involved. Now, of course, the main risk is you have a vehicle that is inherently unstable. In other words, the motorcycle cannot support itself. It has to either have a rider, or it has to be on a stand, or it will just simply fall over. Gravity is not a motorcycle's friend. Now, that being said, a motorcycle inherently is not out there to kill you. It's just basically to get you A to B. The killing you comes from interaction between the motorcycle and other objects, be it either the ground or a bus or a car. So I'm not coming down saying I'm against, having fun or speeding or whatnot. Hell, I'm not exactly riding the most civilized piece of equipment in the planet. But that being said, there are certain actions you can do which will put you at a higher risk. Now, the first one, of course, is pretty obvious. You hear it from the police and then it's in the papers all the time, is speed. Speed was a factor. And there is no question that if you drive at a excessive amount of speed to the road conditions, be it 35 in a 30 or 100 in a 70, you are putting yourself, depending on the conditions, at a slight risk or a great risk. Now, if you're on an empty highway and there's literally no traffic and you're doing 100 miles an hour, you're not putting yourself at a risk driving 40 miles an hour in a 30 zone with heavy traffic, but it's still a risk. And it's just like driving fast in bad conditions. Like if you're driving surprisingly even at the speed limit and it's raining heavily out, your traction's not as good and you have a just good chance of crashing. And same thing with, like, if you have old worn out tires or tires that have just aged too long because the rubber actually changes over time. Now, so far I really haven't mentioned the other things that can happen that'll can cause you trouble, and that is careless or reckless driving. Now, here we have a thing called street racing, which basically covers people driving at excessive speeds, or literally drag racing on the street and so forth. But the street racing also causes we also covers stunt driving. So popping a wheelie is actually a charge here, which can get your license. You can lose your license over and get a massive fine. Just not trust this idiot in the Volkswagen behind me. Damn it, gravel! Oh. Okay. Anyways, popping a wheelie on the street is here can actually get you a massive fine. And let's not even talk about the cost of insurance. I was actually just talking to a guy who's got a clean record, and he's only driving a 500cc Kawasaki Ninja, and he was telling me he's paying $500 a month for his motorcycle insurance, and he's got no tickets or nothing. It just happened to be his age. Said if he got a ticket, his insurance would double. So that's what you always have to take into consideration, is the risk of that wheelie worth your insurance doubling. And there's also the other risk as well, is losing control of the motorcycle and crashing. And crashing is never fun. Crashing actually, besides being expensive, depending on how you crash and what sort of damage you do to the motorcycle, it can be catastrophic to yourself as well. A friend of our family actually lost her leg in a motorcycle crash. She was a passenger. So it's kind of disheartening that you don't think of it. Like the guy who rode the motorcycle that caused her to lose a leg wasn't really hurt at all. So he has to go through the rest, was going through the rest of his life remembering that something he did 30-something years ago. This woman has no leg. Now she's still alive, but basically is maimed for life. So it's like, again, risks versus rewards. When you're driving, cutting through traffic at a high rate of speed, a motorcycle with a rider on it, is basically a projectile. Traveling at speed, the amount of damage it can do on impact is actually even greater. In the spring, we had somebody driving a motorcycle, not about maybe 5 miles away from here, on a straight section of road at an extremely high speed. And a guy pulled out from a side street, and the motorcycle literally hit this truck in the passenger side door and went through the entire vehicle and flipped it over. And what happened was both people on the motorcycle and the truck driver were killed. And when you realize that a full-size pickup truck, which is not a small or a light object, was flipped over on its side from the impact from this motorcycle. So you can understand how, at high speed your motorcycle becomes a projectile. And again, that's something else you have to keep in mind when you're riding at high speed. And again, I'm not someone who's like ranting or raving saying you shouldn't speed or you shouldn't have fun and whatever. It's just that you have to remember there's consequences for everything. Stunt drivers who do things in parking lots, and like the reason they do it in parking lots is they don't do it on the street. It's simply that it's less likely to get in trouble. Like the reason people race on racetracks, it's more of a controlled environment, so it's less likely that if you have an accident or an incident, you're less likely to affect other people than maybe the people on the racetrack. And that's the same with motocross, speedway, everything. So these things that you see people doing, power slides, wheelies and whatnot, they're great in controlled environment. I just don't think they're that appropriate to be doing on a public street. Now this particular area here is a country road, and it's a little bit different. So if you wanted to, but if you could, but you have to remember that if something goes wrong, that telephone pole there doesn't move. If those garbage cans are full of garbage, not only will it be very painful, you end up smelling like crap. These old fences with barbed wire on them, it's like a cheese grater to your body. So I've always been aware of what can go wrong. Because unfortunately I've been around long enough that I've seen a lot go wrong. Luckily not too much to me. But so anyway, it's just a few tips here from someone who's a little bit older, maybe a little wiser, but my wife wouldn't say so that often. So anyways, ride safe, ride smart. It's Nest Stalker signing off.